I'm Ember. Thanks for coming to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about how spirituality has helped me heal with trauma and how it hopefully can help you too. I'm not saying that you have to be spiritual to, benefit, but I just want to talk a little bit about my own experience and how spirituality has helped me and how I think spirituality helps when you're dealing with trauma. So before I came on this video, and every single time before I come on video and on camera, I feel really scared and I feel like I'm not safe. And I have a lot of past memories in this life and in other lives where I have had really bad experiences with being filmed. And a lot of them have to do with sexual abuse. And, if you don't believe in past lives, then that's okay. You don't have to believe in past lives. It's just something that I believe in. But I have actually done healing in past lives as well, or I've targeted past lives and targeted the memories of past lives after I've done a lot of my own healings of healing of this life, right? So I've healed a lot of this life trauma, and then I started going into past lives because I didn't know why I had such an aversion to being filmed. I know that I have a memory from this life that is about sexual abuse and filming and when I was younger. And, it really affects how I am able to come on camera. And if I hadn't done EMDR around it, and if I hadn't really faced the root issues of this, I wouldn't have been able to move forward. And before I came on to this video, I asked for help from my spiritual guides. And I also asked, I visualized, I meditated and I visualized that I was being surrounded by my spirit guides. And I also used the tapping method. So tapping method is when you slowly tap your shoulders, or you can do your knees. And it helps tap in, it helps you stay in your body so that it can tap in whatever you're feeling. And usually this can help when you're, there's also the tapping method. There's a app online that's called the tapping method. And it can help you stay in your body. It helps release, stress from your body because there are pressure points on your body that really help do that. And this also helps anchor it almost into your body. And so I did that before I came on video. And a lot of the work that I'm doing has to do with finding ways to make myself feel safe, finding ways to make my parts feel safe, because it was a part that was coming up that didn't feel safe in regards to, specifically being filmed. And, I've had a lot of other, triggers. I mean, these are triggers, right? I want you to get really curious about what is my worst fear, right? What's my worst fear? It's funny because my worst fear was being killed by a serial killer or being filmed and being killed by a serial killer. And I actually, my past life that I found was me being killed by a serial killer and, being filmed. And it's so interesting that it was my worst fear. And if you believe in past lives, then, are there any extreme fears that you have? It also could be, if you have an extreme fear, it could be generational. I had a friend who had his father's father was murdered, and his father's father was murdered. And he was always afraid of his son getting murdered, or or him getting murdered, right? And so that was a fear of his, and it was very valid because, generationally, it can also be a generational thing. It doesn't have to be a past life. So regardless of if you believe in spirituality or if you don't, there is a way to look at all this stuff in a psychological way or in a spiritual way. I tend to look at both. I think both of them are very important. And so I'm just bringing that in. I'm bringing in my spirituality. I'm bringing in what I use to help heal myself, and what methods I use. And a lot of them are very mixed, and I find that when I think about, a lot for my whole life, I felt like I didn't understand why I went through so much childhood trauma. I didn't understand what my life was about. I didn't understand my purpose. I didn't know why I had to go through such awful things. I had a religious upbringing, and the people that were leading the religious upbringing were very traumatizing. And so I had a very difficult time with spirituality when I first came into this, because I had a very different view of what God was, right? And I felt like God was out to get me. I didn't understand. And then when I realized that God that was put on me was put on me by certain types of people that weren't following it in a proper way, I realized that God to me didn't have to be that, and that it was created by a man-made, or someone else made this idea of what God is. And I wanted to figure out what God meant to me, or spirit, or whatever. And I usually don't call it God now, just because I still have that kind of like, reaction to it. But I do call it spirit or spirituality or whatever. And I'm able to understand now that I know that there's past lives, now that I know that, what my soul has been through, I have a lot more comfort and kindness and compassion for myself, because it's so much more freeing to feel like I chose this. Like, I chose to go through these hard things to grow, and now I'm on the other side, and while that does not excuse the fact that any of this happened, it doesn't excuse the people that did it to me, it doesn't excuse the fact that it fucking hurt so much, right? That doesn't excuse it at all, but it does give me this feeling of like, I have control in a way, but I chose to go through this so that I could be a better person, so that I could help others and I could help myself. And that to me is like it's the most freeing, it's the best feeling, right? It's like, none of this happened to me by chance, none of this happened to me by chance. It was all chosen, So for me, spirituality has just been so helpful and important in my healing journey. And when you're a child, a lot of the times your lower chakras tend to get blocked because you're going through something traumatic, and your lower chakras represent your safe, your self-esteem, your power, your sense of power, your sense of worth, your sense of I am safe, I am grounded, I'm okay in my reality. And so those kind of get blocked. But what happens is your upper chakras really turn on and get like kind of overactive and work really hard to kind of like make up for the fact that your lower chakras are not working. And when this happens, your gifts start to develop, especially when you're a child, and then also in adulthood. And so then when you come back and you heal your trauma, your lower chakras start to stabilize. And then when that happens, it's almost like you're able to ground in and materialize your gifts, and you're able to kind of come in alignment, and really your gifts and and whatever was, kind of being created when you were a child becomes like, opens up, and then you'll find that a lot of your psychic gifts start to become a lot more pronounced. And that was like a wonderful thing for me, like to realize how many gifts I had, and also to understand that the trauma was awful and it should not have happened, but it also in some ways gave me this ability and to like, have these abilities, right? To see, to have clairognisance and clairaudience and clairsentience, you know what I mean? To be able to see. And by being able to see, I really felt that I was able to help people. And I have my Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, and I practice with that. And I also do Reiki on other people. And, I'm trying to incorporate more of my spirituality into my trauma videos, because it's been such a huge part of my life and a huge part of my healing. When I worked on my trauma, it almost opened up this whole world, and my spirituality has really opened up my imagination. And your imagination, like I've talked in other videos, is gold. Like, your imagination is what's going to heal you. Your imagination is going to give you everything you could ever need and want and more. What is most important about this healing is being your own parent, is reparenting yourself, reteaching yourself how to be, re-loving yourself, and your imagination is part of that. It's imagining you being that father figure, or creating a father figure that is an actually kind and engaging father figure, or a mother figure, and engaging the abilities of your imagination to create healing. And doing that really opens you up and helps facilitate healing so much. And so I really hope that I've taught you a little bit about, you know, what spirituality means to me, and in ways that it can help, and in ways that trauma, in some ways, although it's so awful and everything, it can also bring amazing things, and you can really understand yourself in a better way, and you really understand what your purpose is, and even if you don't believe in spirituality, you know, it also can be generational. That's like I talked about the generational trauma and how that can, you know, form as well with your forced fears, and how, you know, even without spirituality you can work on your trauma, of course. I just find that it really helps, and you know, I hope I helped you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. And hit that like and subscribe button if you can, and I will see you guys next time.